how do you become more effective at teaching story arts? The first thing that I had to learn is that my students are not me. So I have my process, I have my ambition, I have my own ego, and my students are not myself, so I cannot hold them to the same standards that I hold myself to. One thing that I had to utterly forsake is I was a maniac in school, when I was in college, absolute maniac. I never missed a class. Every class, every assignment I wanted to have an A. And that's great. But everyone is not like that. And I actually learned this from J.J. Watt. And he talked about how in the off season, he goes up to a cabin in Wisconsin and he's chopping wood and doing all these, rigorous activities to prepare for the season. And then he would come back and get frustrated with his teammates when they weren't as devoted or committed as he was. And he recognized that that wasn't good leadership. Good leadership is helping your students be the best person that they can be, not the version of themselves that you think is best for them. The other thing that revolutionized my teaching is whenever I took responsibility for what the students learned and retained. Early in my teaching career, I would spend all of this time preparing the most beautiful, exquisite, wonderful class. And I would present the information, and for me, that's where my responsibility ended. But the moment I realized that it's not enough to just present the information, I also have to read the room. I also have to engage with students individually. I also have to have conversations with them outside of the big classroom, because some students aren't going to talk in the big classroom no matter what you do. So that was revolutionary for me, wherever I took ownership for what they learned and retained beyond my preparation. The third thing that was revolutionary for me as a teacher is my ability to help students develop characters and stories that I may fundamentally disagree with. The reason why that was so challenging for me is that it created a moral quandary, as it were, or so I thought, when in fact, what I was doing was stifling creativity, stifling storytelling, stifling the progression of story and the medium of film and television. So now what I'm able to do is apply these principles that we've talked about to a story, independent of what I personally think about the protagonist, what her goal is, what the thematic thrust of the story is. So in enabling these students to be free, what has happened, far greater success on the part of the student, but also far greater success on my part, because when my students are successful, I'm successful.